What up guys, this is LunarCraft doing here some Everquest 2, and I'm going to do a little short tutorial on how to tank. Now, I'm going to give you guys 3 basic rules that whether it be an easy zone, a mid-grade zone, or a hard zone, if you follow these basics, everything should run smoothly. Granted, there's also quality of the player, but as a tank, if you do this, then all is well on your part. Now, the first rule is communication, the second rule is knowing the zone, and the third rule is how to pull. So let's go back to the first rule, communication. I cannot stress how important this is. For example, there's 2 types of pulling that I will use for this example. It's not all there is, but charging and pulling. Now, charging is basically you charge in, your group follows you, and then wherever you stay, you fight. The second one is pulling, where you tell the group to stay and you pull the mobs to the group. Now let's assume that you've been pulling for a long time and you don't tell your group that you're going to charge. Well, you charge in and you're the only one out there. It's a bad situation. So it's very good to communicate, and yeah, I can't stress that one enough. Now, second rule is knowing the zone. Now, up until about mid-70s, the zones really are not that difficult. It's usually just a tank and spank and nothing more than that. But when you get above mid-grade 70s, you really get into special case scenarios, such as let's pick Obelisk of Oxul and the Moors here. It is I'll pick the bouncy. I'm calling them the trampoline guy. Basically, they're orbs that if you don't touch them, then and it gets to the name, then the entire group wipes. So you really got to you really got to know what's going to happen. And again, I'm resorting back to number 1, and I'm putting it as number 1 because it's the biggest, most important rule is communication. You tell who and who is going to go touch the orbs and get rid of them so that the group doesn't wipe, and you tell who and who is going to do the damage. So knowing the zone is very, very important. Now, the third rule is how to pull, and that's why I actually have it's not an audio, it's going to be visually with what you see here on Everquest 2. So there are a few types of pulling. There's charging, there's arrow pulling, there's body pulling, and then there is what I've said earlier is the pulling, as I called it, but when you pull the mob to the group. So with with each and every single one, there are 2 things that you always want to do. Now, granted, if you get a huge little group going on, you can't do one of these, but well, I'll go ahead. I'll show you guys. So the first one is charging. I'm going to use this little guy over here, this Tundra Beast. It's very simple. You and your group, you charge in. Now say the group is behind me. Now there are 2 things I really want to make sure you always do. Now if you're charging, the first thing you want to do is use this little taunt here. It's good to know what your spells are, like this one right here, being that it's a green background, it's an AE, meaning anything in front of you. So that will taunt anything in front of me, so I just casted that. I have the aggro. The next one is the single target, such as rescue here, which rescue is very good. You only get a few spells that actually do this, and what the spells do is put you, as you can read, is the very first part of that, is increases your threat priority, meaning that if you're the 3rd position out of the 6 people in your group and you use that, you're all the way at the top and you hold the aggro. Very, very important, and you always want to make sure you have 100%. Now granted, I'm using Prophet, so if you don't have this, it's not going to say this, or it's not going to be exactly like this, but it's very good to know your spells and always cast a taunt in the very beginning. Now the second thing you want to do once you charge in is you want to turn the mob. Now I really can't stress this enough. If you have Swashbuckler, Brigand, and Assassin, which are the biggest back attackers in the game, if I am forgetting one, I'm sorry, but it makes it so that they can do a lot more damage, which obviously is going to help out everyone in the end. Another good reason is, especially in the newer zones and the Destiny of Velios expansion, the Rhyme faction, actually, they have really strong AEs, which will wipe the group if you're not careful. So you want to make sure that they are not facing the group. So what you want to do is go over here and you just turn the mob. So let's say you're charging in, you literally just, you're running towards them, you cast a taunt as you're running, and you turn the mob. It's very smooth, very simple. So let's go ahead and kill this guy. There we go. Alright, now that covers charging. The next one is arrow pulling. Again, this one is very simple. You literally target the character. Now granted, I use spells right now just because my bow is terrible. But I'm going to go ahead and do this. You pull the guy with an arrow. And then once he gets to you, you cast your taunt. And then you turn him. Well, so long as you're not running into him. So let's get rid of him. There we go. Ooh, got some loot. Sweet. Okay, so that covers arrow pulling. Now, the difficult thing is when you do arrow pulling or any kind of spell to pull, sometimes the mobs are social, meaning that if they're of the same faction and they're nearby, you'll also pull them. Now, on something like this, when you're finding these easy little guys here, that's not an issue at all. But when you're in the higher zones fighting heroic triple ups, you don't want that happening because you'll get a lot of very hard mobs attacking you all at once, and sometimes you can pull an entire room, which will wipe the group. So let's assume that there's something about this proximity that if I were to attack, one of them, if I were to arrow pull, I would get an entire room worth and I would die. So this is called body pulling. So basically, you literally just inch up to him until you get into his aggro range, but you don't get into the other people's aggro range, and then you pull them back. Now with this, again, once you finally get them back to the group, you taunt, and then you turn. It's the simplest thing you could ever do, and it's always important. Now, for those who really want, or are not understanding, when do you back up, or when do you know you've backed up enough before you need to turn them? Let's assume that this right here is the group right here, or this right here is the group. So you literally just pull them back to where the group is, and then you turn them. And as you can see, this is far enough away so that a lot of the AoEs are not going to hit, but it's also close enough that anyone who's going to range can easily hit him. If you're a scout that needs close range stuff, you can get in there, get some attacks, and as long as they don't have AoEs. But if they have AEs, it's turned away from the group, but it's a good little distance away. So that is in itself tanking. It's very basic, but it's also very important, and it makes things run smooth so long as you are smooth with these basics. Again, just to recap, there's communication, there's knowing the zone, and then there's those few ways I taught how to pull a mob. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that you learned a lot. If you got any questions, just shoot a comment on this video, and I will be quick on answering it. At least as quick as I can, usually within an hour or two. And if you're on the Freeport server, my character's name is Ragnarok, or also Lunar Dragon, which I'll put in the chat down here. Just shoot me a message, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned a lot. This has been LunaCraft doing some EverQuest, and I hope you guys have a good one.